How you doing,
Yeah.
bud?
Well, the other day. Okay, the first one I think is, I don't know a whole lot of them, just the ones I did research on. Otis is busy identifying the ones that don't have stones, and then he'll put little markers by them.
Uh-oh. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Also, had to make sure my boom mic was on. I'm gonna record all this and have no audio.
Family here, Charlotte family, and I know nothing about a lot of these.
Well, I was gonna say let's start our way out to all the way to the back towards the school and make our way back to the front.
Oh, sure.
Make it easier. Instead of having to walk all the way there and then back.
Okay.
So people, they would love donations to the cemetery to help keep it going. Feel free to come donate or come put some time in. There's a local community that runs and operates the cemetery. They could always love and use the help. As you can see, it's very beautiful. I got two lovely hosts with me right now, Dorothy and her lovely niece. Sorry about that. Something's going to be awake tonight. Is there a new bag in this one? Yes, there is.
Walking around looking at the colors. Okay, so here is the beginning. Take it down this side.
That's awesome. Start up here.
And that's a relatively new, it's a pretty stone. I haven't seen that one.
2019. Mike Miller. Eugene.
This is Stan and Bonnie. They're old Phoenix family.
Oh, nice.
Stan was a member of the cemetery for years and years and years. He belonged to the cemetery board.
Oh,
And he just passed away.
so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he was super nice
So far, everyone I met over here is super nice. If there's any spirits out here that would like to give us a little talk and tell your story, feel free to come in, talk to this light, or manifest yourself. We would love to hear your stories. Oh, So these are going this way. We got Bonnie right here. That's me just putting the K2 a little close. And give it a little quick pan. It's just a light in the back. Sean and Shannon. Now we're about to reach one of the most interesting cases and an unsolved case here in Phoenix. Do you know the story?
I don't know the whole story. I know something happened with his family. He was gone. He was missing for many months, and then they found him in a orchard.
Oh.
Many months later, but I don't know the exact story, and I don't know that they have concluded anything. I don't know what the end result ever was.
Well, it's very sad.
Yeah, the family's here a lot, taking care of the space.
I'm very sorry, Tommy. If you like, please come out and talk to us.
He was like 16 or something. 81, 91.
Young, life lost too young.
16. He was just really young.
Truly a sad story.
Yeah, well, I don't know exactly what happened. I don't think anybody actually knows what happened. But it was sad. And when they found him, they weren't looking for him. Somebody found him.
Let's hope he gets justice. So far, I have not picked up anything.
There's another plot here. The plots are usually there's about 10 spaces in each plot when they divided them up in the beginning.
There's a date on this one. Is this 18? 18? No, 1998.
1998.
Again, if anyone here wants to talk.
I'm used to seeing them in the daytime.
And nighttime's always a whole new experience.
Mm-hmm. That's a new stone. That's a new marker. I don't recognize that marker, either one of them. Somebody put a new marker on.
New plot, or it's a very beautiful plot.
Have you seen it? You haven't seen the dad,
Not for a couple of months.
They
no.
changed it.
Who changed it?
Otis, he raised the, you know how it was sunk way down
okay.
in?
Yeah.
They called me and asked if they could fix the stone, and I said sure, because it was like a mess.
It was pretty soft.
So he picked it up and turned it around. So now it's facing the right direction.
Are these stones or facing north?
Yeah, some of them, when they did the cemetery, some stones face one way and some stones face the other, and Otis is gradually fixing it. And this was Rita's dad, my brother.
Oh,
It's supposed to be facing this way. So you look at it from the bottom.
the Richard.
Oh, I didn't know
West
that it was
Yeah.
wrong. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize it either. And he said, yes, it's supposed to be facing where you stand at the foot. And I knew this was the foot. He said, just stand at the foot and then read the stone. Miss Smelser is old people. One of them graduated with my mother.
Oh wow.
That's newsworthy. I don't know which one it was. I can't read this. Can't read it.
It's Lloyd J.
Is it Swingle? One of them is a Swingle. Maybe that's Swingle.
This looks like Smith.
Smelser. Okay.
Smelser, yeah.
Smaller
It's easy
Shirley.
to see when
Yeah.
the light's not directly on it, you can see it.
Yeah. And then there's some of them we have here are only memorials. They aren't actual graves. We have a few of those. Not these, but we have some down there.
You can tell these ones are buried. The rays on the land.
These two are just memorials. Here, they aren't truly buried here anymore. And these are my parents. And my grandparents. Somewhere over there. My grandparents, my aunts, the ones with no stones, those are my aunts and cousins.
Is the road still trying to?
It's still
it
growing,
is.
yeah. They haven't mowed here. They need to mow, but they haven't mowed yet. And then there's down this.
Beautiful plot.
There's another family here that's very interesting to me. I'd love to know the history of it. It's right in here. There's always people
Luscious.
that do a lot with the whole area. I don't know anything about them. Some of them are old, some of them aren't quite so old.
Oh, what's my step there?
Yeah, there's cement around it. A lot of cement.
In the Myers. If anyone here would like to tell their story, we're available.
They have a story. I know this must be either a large family. Oh, there's a picture.
It's a very lovely picture.
And I don't recognize that either. That must be relatively new.
Peggy Sue.
That looks
Hansen.
new.
2019. It is.
2019, yeah.
So the family's still here. And then back up in here we have some older ones.
It's like an
Some with
18s.
cement. Some with one. I just used to do is mow her out and mow. It's really
I know the other day he was mowing, he was having trouble because it was just starting to rain on and off.
Yeah.
I'm hopefully going to get a bunch of people, as well as myself, to come and start helping out.
Oh, that would
Give
be
me-
good.
Give you guys some break.
This is a. I don't know what. There's,
Everything's
there's one
happy.
down here that's always been taken care of. And it's interesting to me because it's alive. And they have wind chimes, they have flags, they have different things. And they come frequently.
Oh. This is someone who was very loved.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Michael Coates.
And I don't know the family, so they must be a local family, but I don't know them.
Yet again, if anything here would like to tell us a story, all you have to do is talk to us in this mic. We will hear your story later on.
Yeah. These are ones that we can find out the stories, but I don't know the stories.
I was actually speaking to the spirit. Ooh. We just had a hit on the meter. That could have been just me.
Mm.
See, it'll go off on my
Huh.
energy sometimes. So that was debunked, people. As you can see, this cemetery is very beautiful and needs a lot of taking care of. So if anyone out there wants to come help, I'll be putting up a number and a donation, email, and everything like that at the end of this video.
Mostly it's taken care of by, you met Myrna and Otis.
Yes.
Mostly it's taken care of by them and Otis's wife.
And,
She may have been here that way too.
I know they're having a hard time trying to keep up, and the summer is going to be rough. So
Yeah.
everyone who's listening to this video later on, if you want to help out, please do whatever you can.
Yeah, do you want to go on the other side or just down?
Oh no, we're going to go to the other side too.
Okay.
Can't exclude the other side. Do you have any stories on this side of the bridge? Oh, there you go.
I have more. Well, we missed the row that I have some stories from that, which is
Oh.
a good story.
We can always go back because
Yeah.
all the
Go
stories,
straight- we can go straight across and you'll see them.
all the stories matter. You can lead the way, and I'll follow.
The ones up at the front are mostly new. If you want to go look at those,
Oh no, we'll look at everything.
they're new. New, you know, the cemeteries that are out from 1874.
It's a very old town, I know.
We have some graves here that were before 1874.
Ooh.
They were just not buried here. They were brought here
Huh.
after 1874.
Well, that must be some unrest. Funny story about 1874. It was the same time they had the graveyard massacre. The guy would sit there and cut up bodies and replace them. Eventually, he would be haunted by these victims, which
Family. I guess this is not the new one.
don't please. Please, so anything want to manifest yourself and show us, tell us how you're doing, tell us like what's like on the other side. of very lovely headstones. Each one having their own little deco.
We had a event probably 20 years ago now, and a bunch of kids came through and broke a bunch. So that's why some graves don't have stones at all. We know who's there, but there's no stone because the kids
Okay.
broke them.
So as you hear that really sad story,
Since then, it's been closed at night, and police patrol.
no, that's understandable. I'm sorry about that.
Hard for kids. This is an old town family too. Otto, which is over here.
Do you have a little story about them?
That's his son.
Oh,
And Otto, Pat, his wife,
Sorry, guys.
belonged to the museum for many, many years until she passed away. And Otto was the mayor of Phoenix. He was on the city council. He was a mayor. He belonged to the cemetery. He was the sexton at the cemetery for many years. He belonged to the museum. He belonged to everything. That's where Otto's buried.
oh,
That's a lot. It's an old family.
you really did a lot for this town.
And I went to school with his nephew.
Oh. Hopefully his nephew is as accomplished as he is.
Yeah. And he's buried down there. Later.
Oh, his nephew passed away too? That's
Yeah.
sad.
And then we have some stones like this one, where people have purchased their plots and purchased their stones.
Freemasons.
They're still here. There's no dates, no
Oh.
death dates, because the people are still here.
We have a couple of Freemasons here. That's awesome.
And these are a lot of our newer ones. We have a Mexican family, several Spanish families that have purchased the area, and so this is one of the areas that they purchased.
Hola.
And they
Pico
keep it
Español.
They keep it very well tidy. They're very they take care of their
Well, it's
they
very,
have wrought iron fence, and they have
it's very traditional.
the rocks, and they have a little
Oh.
bench.
It's very
Yeah,
beautiful.
Very traditional, and it's very pretty.
Let's try and capture this.
That was a great pretty.
You see, it's very lovely.
Mm-hmm. What?
It gives me claustrophobic even thinking about it.
Yeah, Mom, that was one thing when Mom died. She said, do not, I don't care what you do to my grave, do not cover me in cement. So, okay, Mom, you got dirt, okay? Dirt and weeds.
People have little superstitions.
Yeah, they do. And my mother was she was emphatic that she was not covered with
You know, in 17 and 1800s, they were scared about being buried alive, so they would put bells.
She had that too. She was terrified of being buried alive. She said she always wanted to be sure that she was dead before she got buried.
I used to have nightmares about my dad being buried alive, and it took me a long time to get over it.
Yeah. This is another large family. They have several plots here over the years.
The family still.
Some of them new, some of them old. You want to go straight back that way or down another road?
We can go down another row.
Okay.
Anything interesting stories about the families over here?
Well, I haven't got to them yet.
Oh,
I have to get there. But they may be down another road. Nope, there's these. And these. Really tidy. You have to look to find them. And then there's some that are just, I don't know who they are. They're just here.
It's
Okay, where am I?
you're around the fourth row down.
Oh, I'm not downtown. I'm not downtown now. To the old ones. There's some older ones. Not downtown. And who are these people?
Walter Foster.
Fosters. Okay. Where you go over there? I'm here.
She's right behind us.
Look for something? Yeah, can you go look for ferns? We'll run into them probably before you find them.
K?
Ferns.
F.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of ferns.
Yeah, I remember when I was helping you.
I introduced you to all of them. I
Yeah.
know.
But they were broken up too, weren't they?
Yeah, they're not all they're related, but they're not all side by side.
Ruben Lawrence.
Could be. Am I really that far off?
This is a poor infant daughter right here.
You know what the problem is? I always come from the other side. I don't come from this way down. I come from the bottom up.
Bottom up, yeah.
So I've lost my bearing.
That's my fault.
But they're here. I know they're here. Dorothy? Aren't casters split up a bit also?
Right, because it's two separate families. They're cousins. So when I went to school with this cousin,
What is the...
Okay, I am going to. We'll have to come back around because we'll lose a lot of them.
No problem.
Because I'm not recognizing any of this.
I'm gonna try another piece of equipment in a little bit.
Oh, okay. Now we're getting down to where I should be. Lots of military ones. I don't want to fly.
What about Bell, Dorothy?
Bell?
Do you know anything about Bell?
Bell? No, I don't. Except I use them for a marker.
Ah,
So I know where I'm at.
I can do a little bit of research on these families and
Bars. And the bars. And
things I'd like
he
to see.
couldn't have moved any of these. Well, he might have moved me a little bit so they're in one place.
I think you would.
The Indias. He has. He's moving around a little bit. Unless I am just way off. We're going to have to go down and come back. We're down
That's-
too far now. We'll have to come back.
So good.
Don't mind walking.
I'll change the equipment when we're down there.
Scott. And then there's a big red one here. We can talk about Dr. Mongan.
All right.
This is Dr. Mongan. Theodore and his wife, Frederica.
You said doctor?
He's a doctor. He was a doctor here for many, many years and very well thought of. He made house calls. In fact, the town said that's what killed him, was because he made so many house calls and he was so tired that he had a heart attack and died. And so they blamed all of his patients because he died, because he was so well thought of. He built, if you drive on 2nd Street
Yep.
sometime, there's on the second corner of 2nd and Church, there's the Presbyterian Church on one corner, there's the townhouse on one corner, there's just a house on another corner, and then there's this big, there's a little stone building, and right next to it is a big White House. That's Dr. Malmgren's home and his office and his pharmacy.
I actually live right near there.
The stone house is his doctor's office, and it has his name carved above the door. And it's still there. And the White House is a house that he built for his wife in 1912. And
Wow.
he built his office either right before or right after.
1912.
But he came from back east. He graduated from medical school back east and came out here. Frederica went to Salk. She was did a lot with Salk. She taught a lot of teaching with a lot of the women at Salk. Well, not Salk anymore. It used to be, but at the college anyway in Ashland. And they were both very well thought of in Phoenix.
Must be.
And all over, actually.
Especially to be a house calling doctor. That's a very
Yeah.
rare trait.
A long time ago. That's one of them that's broken. Okay.
Fortunately, this is what kids did when they broke into the cemetery.
Woody. This is Mr. Woody. He's one of the first trustees of the cemetery. If you look at the sign as you come into the cemetery, his name's on it. He's one of the trustees. And here's some of his family. The Dawsons, and then there's Henrietta Dawson, and then there's Betty and Don. Betty's my cousin.
Oh.
I'm not related to the rest of them. I'm just related to Betty. And then there's some more of the Woody's family in here. So I've got a few relatives in here too. And then there's this one.
Payne. I know the Payne, last name Payne.
Okay, there's two Payne families. This Payne family, there's some cliffs as you go across the freeway from Phoenix towards the east side of Phoenix. Off to the right-hand side, there's some cliffs off to the right-hand side. Those are known as Payne Cliffs, named after Mr. Payne and his wife, Mrs. Payne. You'll notice,
Right behind him.
which I don't like, but this is what they did. C.T. Payne and Mrs. She didn't have a name.
Huh?
She didn't have a name. It's Mrs. C.T. Payne.
Wow.
So, I don't approve. But anyway, her stone was terribly broken, and so the family replaced it. I think parts of it is still here, and they replaced it saying, yes, here's their hand, I think. Here's some of the family. This is David, and it's some of their family. Here's C.T. Payne. But they owned that area. They homesteaded in that area.
Payne Mountains.
Eddie, Bill, I don't know them really. Here's another one that's broken. Another Bell family.
The bells.
I can explore.
So this headstone was
I think you totally
broken.
lost it.
That's just a spotlight from one of the neighbors.
This isn't the right one. We'll like that. We'll have to go to the other side. Anyway, we'll go down this way. It's hard to go clear across because you lose where you're at. Because sometimes they aren't clear across.
It's all good because it's just more experience and more footage we're capturing.
Not. There it is. There it is. Coleman Creek, her husband first wife, and I got her name. But anyway, it's been a long time since I did this.
The Colemans.
Mary. Her name is Mary. This is Mary Coleman. And she and her husband had, Coleman Creek Road. That's where that's named after. It's Coleman Creek Road. This is Mary. She passed away.
What
you
year
know the
was
house.
that in 1906?
Uh-huh.
1906.
And there's the house down on the highway. As you go out of town towards Ashland, it's a white house off to the right. Sitting it faces the highway. There's two of them.
Yeah.
One's sideways and one faces the street.
Yeah, I think I know which one you
That's
do.
the Coleman house.
Okay, we'll get some
They
footage
built
of that
Her
later.
husband built it. Okay. And then nope, I missed it. Okay. So, go back up this way.
Good. I am going to change equipment for 1 second. Almost out. Okay. I just got off to my movement, people. Here.
Right here, there's this one. I don't know any history about it, but it's always a stone that has intrigued me because it's a two babies, and there's got to be something. There's got to be something there.
Is there anyone here that would like to talk? Can anyone tell us their stories? If there's anyone here that would like to tell me the story of what happened to these children, we would really like to hear.
It's Elizabeth and Charles. It's a boy and a girl.
Do anyone know about Elizabeth and Charles? Can you give us any sort of clue? Speak to the device that's in my hand. This is your opportunity to be heard. We just basically want to know your basic story. You can tell us anything. We greatly appreciate it.
That could be an illness. They died so close together that, and they were children. They weren't babies. They were children. So you wonder if it was an epidemic of something.
What was happening during the time of these children's deaths?
1883. It's before the flu. Could have been smallpox. Could have been something like cholera. Maybe they just came on the wagon train, and it's hard to say. But they weren't. One was 3 and one was 4, and they died the same 2 days apart.
Yep.
So there's got to be something.
That's extremely sad. If you can, follow us wherever we go tonight, and feel free to tell us the story. This box is going to be open in my hand the whole time. If you can tell us what you passed away from, that'll be gratefully helpful for history of this town.
This is the Reams plot. The Reams are a huge family. They were quite well known in their time.
Is there anyone from the Reams family here? Feel free to keep describing them.
One was an attorney in Jacksonville. One was the mayor of Phoenix. She wasn't a Reams, she was a Carver, but her mother was a Reams. It was a large family. Okay. And we can go straight across. I'll see if Frida's ever been able to find the ferns. I just lost them. There's another group.
Like, I can give her a walkie-talkie. I have a bunch on me.
Because the Fern family is a good family. It's a good story.
Oh, I can't wait to hear.
You know Fern Valley, don't you? You know,
Fern Valley, yes, sir.
Fern Valley is on the east side of Phoenix.
More.
Fern Valley Road, that whole mountain is Fern Valley. The people that are buried here owned it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The first one I showed you, Stan Fern,
Yep.
he's one of the ferns. But the main cemetery, main bunch of them are buried up there. Did you find them? They're closer to the fence and up. Amelia Ferns, Tom Ferns.
Are you telling me you found them?
No, I didn't find them.
You said they're closer to the fence and up.
And I know that's where they are, but I can't find them.
Oh. I just been zigzagging. I found Culvers and Andersons and, well, with the Culvers, you know,
The gentleman that started the town was Stan Culver.
Stan Colbert.
He's very good. His whole family is.
What year did Stan Colbert start this town?
What year? He had a donation land claim here, and he came here. Okay, test my memory. He came here with his wife and his brother. They came across from Ohio to the Willamette Valley, and he left his family, and his brother left his family, and Sam and his brother, what's his brother's name? Anyway, Sam and his brother came down here, had a donation land claim in what was now Phoenix. And they're the ones, Sam is the one that sold off the plots to people to build houses on and make the town of Phoenix. So everybody says, he made Phoenix. We have he had built a house in 1850, first house in 1852, but that was just a little cabin. He built the other house, finished it in 1854, but it was absolutely huge. So it must have taken him at least a year or 2 years to make it.
Is that the one they turned into a hotel, right?
They turned it into a hotel, but it burned in 2000. That's the one that's on the picture outside the museum.
Oh, okay.
The big log, and there's a picture of it. And that's that. Stancliffe is another family in Phoenix, very, very old family. That Bert, I don't know which one is Bert. There's a Bert. Bert was the mayor of Phoenix, and his parents are even buried. He lived to be 103.
103.
And
wow.
And his wife, here's Bert. There's Bert, and there's Catherine. Okay. Bert lived to be 103, and his parents are buried here too. And Catherine was She started the museum. Catherine Stancliffe started the museum. And she was also a school teacher.
Do you have anything to tell us, Bert? Or Catherine, would you like to tell us anything? Could you tell us anything about the town when you guys were running as mayor or when Catherine was the teacher? Can you tell us what it's like? Almost sound like female coming through, right?
Mm.
Can you just tell us hello? We're not here to disturb you. We just want to talk to you about your stories. We would like to know about the history of this town since there's not too much documented.
They're closer to the fence and up on the side. Not on the fence, out this way, but not out here. I was kind of looking where you guys were. Yeah, well, I didn't find them. Okay, so that's Bert and Catherine, and there's several other Stancliffs here. Bert's parents were buried on the other side. There's a lot of other Stancliffs and relatives of the Stancliffs.
Did Bert move his parents here, or are they just?
No, his parents came out from back east.
Oh, very well.
Bert was born here. Bert. He wasn't born here. He came soon after he. And the Dietrich. Where am I? This is sad. This is sad. I don't know where I'm at.
It's all good. It's a new game for you of hide and go seek.
Finding them in the dark is not a good thing. But I need to. At least I haven't fallen overboard yet.
Oh, you're doing very good.
And there's another one that I'm looking for. Okay, now I know where I'm at. I'm just walking around. You can stop at any of them and you'll see if I know anything. I don't know a lot about some of them.
I'm actually following you while you walk around and trying to figure
are
out
the Van
if I
Dykes.
can get hits. Van Dykes.
Van Dyke, his name is also on the one of the trustees.
Why do I know that name, Van Dyke? They're Dutch or German? Again, if anyone would like to talk, please come through this box that I have in my left hand. Feel free to tell your story. And the Bloom, Hope, would you like to tell your story?
Here's another family that I know the story of,
Awesome.
and that's Elijah Gore and his wife Mary Elizabeth. Elijah and his brother came out and did some homesteading here. His brother went back, they were twins. His brother went back east, but he stayed. And he married Mary Elizabeth. They married him back east, made her back east, and they all came out. And she came out. They lived along Bear Creek, down approximately across where Southern Oregon Nursery is. They had, up against the ditch, they had a homestead there.
Oh,
And he had a lumber mill, which got washed away in the creek. But anyway, he had a lumber mill and produced a lot of lumber for a lot of the houses. They were very, very big in the church here in town. Elizabeth, she went by Elizabeth. Elizabeth's son, Lewis, he's buried right there. And the story that I found that said that when they lived along Bear Creek, that the Indians lived along Bear Creek too.
oh yeah?
And they would come by their house a lot, and they were friendly. They were friendly with them, and they at one point they played musical instruments a lot, all the time. They were a very musical family. They had several children, but they were very musical. And at one point, one of the Indians, or a couple of the Indians, came up, and they couldn't speak the language, but they motioned to them. They wanted them to play, and they said that they were so afraid not to, that they played. They sat and played. He played the fiddle and they different instruments, so they sat and played music for the Indians until the Indians got tired and went home. But they said they were very, very, they were good to the Indians, and the Indians were good to them. In fact, at one point when they had an Indian uprising, the Indians did burn several houses, but not theirs.
They left it.
They were very, very kind to the Indians. They got along very well.
That's a sweet story.
And this is Lewis,
Their son.
Rose. Well, it's Isabel and Lewis Rose. They're both here. And that's her son.
Did he ever accomplish anything as great?
Rose Street.
Oh, there you go.
And he had a house over here on 5th Street, 4th Street, 4th or 5th Street. 5th, I think. I don't know where it was because it's gone now, but he did. Okay.
Do you still have pictures of the old town?
We have some pictures, yes. We do have some pictures. This is Sam Culver.
Over.
This is Sam Culver, the one that started the town. Came in 1851, built his house. And Huldah is his wife. And he was, you find it? Oh, good. And he's one of the only ones in here that has a footstone, as well as a headstone. But he's got
He started the town.
his name on it.
Mr. Cover, we don't mean to wake you up. We'd just like to see what your feelings on the town today of something that you've built.
I'm not sure he'd approve. They never wanted it incorporated into a town.
Oh,
In fact, they didn't ever vote to incorporate it until after Huldah died, because she didn't want it incorporated.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Mr. Cover, but you did build a great, beautiful town.
Yeah.
Hidden away in the mountains.
And a lot of his land is a cemetery, is on his land.
Oh,
Yeah, so he owned a lot of it. And then
this is always your home, Mr. Cover.
and then here is more of his family. His son, there's Jemima and Lewis Culver. Lewis Culver is his son. Jemima, I believe, is a daughter-in-law. And there's several people here. And then there's Percy, which is a child. There were several people in this area that are Culvers. And she found him.
We start off in this town.
And that's Amelia. And this is Tom. Nope, that's William. That's her son. This is Tom.
Tom's the big
William
one.
Thomas, but they call him Tom.
Another brilliant Freemason.
And their story is Amelia's grandfather, Carver, his last name was Carver. He owned what is now known as Fern Valley, a couple thousand acres out there. And he had two families. He had one back east And then they all grew up, and wife died. He moved out here, got another wife, another family, had a boy. The boy didn't want anything to do with farming. So when he died, he sold it. And his granddaughter and her husband bought it. So they came out here with 7 children, small children. They came out here with 7 children, the 2 of them and all their children, and bought this property knowing no one. They knew so by then her grandfather was gone. They knew no one. And he was out here about 2 years, and he died.
Aww.
So she's left with a couple thousand acres of farmland in Fern Valley, and all the children, and she kept it. She managed to raise her children and keep the farm all by herself. Her kids, of course, grew up and helped her, but in the beginning they were children.
Yes. What an amazing woman.
That's why it's called Fern Valley, not Ferns. And she was mad because it's supposed to be Ferns Valley, but that doesn't sound right. So they shortened it to Fern, but it's after Amelia Ferns. But then she divided all the property up to her children, and several of her children are buried here. They're around here. Some of them I think are back here. Yeah. I don't remember what their names are, but a lot of her children and their family
Just here at the Pains.
are buried around here. But that's Amelia and her family, and that she's I think one of the main ones in Phoenix. Because she was amazing.
Oh, she sounds like an amazing, outstanding woman.
Yeah, just to raise the children and keep the farm. Okay, so I think we've seen a good part of the ones on each side. So where do we leave off on the other side? I just was wondering. Oh, we did that one. He is an important person. If I can find a bowl one. Oh God, yeah.
And the Bowls members here that can direct us towards your grave. Are we going the right way? Speaking to the blue lights.
This spot is the Bowles family. And one of them is Walter. Walter. Sydney. Ida.
Christina.
He must not have a stone. But anyway, Walter is buried here. And he was another one of the people that had land. He had the land where the school is and all that area in there. And he gave part of his land to make the cemetery.
Oh,
So part of it belonged to him, to this family.
Mr. Walter, I hope you like what's happening with your cemetery. It's a very,
his-
very beautiful place.
Granddaughter also belongs to the museum. She's one of the docents of the museum. And her
Got
husband,
steep pole right here.
yeah, is one of the trustees.
Oh,
Okay, let me try and walk away. We don't need to go very quickly. We'll walk away, but we can do it. Then we don't have to walk through. Some of these are relatively newer, in the 50s and 60s. Woodsman of the world. Do you know that organization?
The Woodsman,
Woodsman of the world.
the Woodsman of the World. No, I have not heard of.
Okay.
I'd like to hear some more about that.
Okay. I can find some of the stones. I'll show it to you. I don't know what you- okay. Let's go over here and look at this one first, and then we'll look at the other side and finish this back up to the side, okay? Okay, let's see. Like me, just in the dinner. Houston, the Houston family. Houston Road runs out from 4th Street. When you go on out 4th, it goes across tracks and it goes out that way. Houston Road's out there. That's Mr. Houston. Here's one. There's several of them. This is a Woodsman of the World stone.
Oh wow.
It's a tree.
It's a stone. That's a tree bark.
It's carved like a tree. It's cement, it's a stone, but it's carved like a tree. And they're all basically look like that. The Woodsmen of the World, they formed when the people came out to Oregon on the wagon train. When they came out here, think about it. We have groups that we belong to, you know, Facebook and
Yeah.
the phone, and we have everything else to connect us with people, with our families. When they came out here on the wagon train, they had nothing.
So
They had no friends, they had no family, they had nothing. So what they did is they banded together and made clubs. The Elks, the Lions, all the clubs. Woodsman of the World was one of the clubs. And
I
we
take
don't
it
need
their
them
trade
anymore.
was wood.
Huh?
I take it their trade was wood, like the
Not
masonry.
necessarily. They
No.
was just the name of their group.
Oh,
It
okay.
was a bunch of people that got together. What they did is they took care of each other. If they needed something, if somebody needed something, somebody else in the group would help them. And part of their thing is when they died and they belonged to the Woodsmen of the World, they gave them a headstone. So they
Oh.
always belonged to the family of them. And I think that's kind of neat. And then it went away because we don't need those groups anymore because we connect with everybody a different way. So we don't need them anymore. It's kind of sad, but we have
Okay.
some stuff in the museum about them too. Okay.
Very, very interesting.
Okay, well, we have a window, so I'll hold my flashlight down. The dogs bark. This is the oldest one in the cemetery.
This is the oldest one.
This is Sam Kohler. What's his name?
Samuel Culver.
That's the son. Oh, no, that's Sam Culver over there. This is his father.
Senior.
Hiram, that's his name.
Died 1866.
Okay, this is Sam Culver that we saw over there. This is his father and his brother and a bunch of the kids. A bunch of the other relatives.
Is there anyone
And
from
you'll
the Culver
notice
family?
when he died in
1866.
the cemetery was founded in 1874.
Wow.
Well, we had up at the end of B Street. If you go up B Street, this is Rose, or go to the end of Rose Street, and one street over is B. Goes up the mountain.
Yeah.
Before the houses were built there, it was just dirt, and it was a mountain. And it was called Graveyard Hills because that's where the graveyard was. So there were tons and tons and tons of people buried there.
Oh, wow.
And when they went, and after this cemetery opened, and they were going to build on it, many years after that, but when they decided to build on it, they've transferred as many bodies that they could that had stones, so they knew where they were. They transferred many bodies down here, and their stones. So that's how it comes. These are here,
That's all their family.
and they're older than the cemetery.
Wow.
But Hiram's here, and his dad, Sam Sr. There's a few more. I don't know who those people are. But this is the oldest spot.
Culver.
And most of those were buried before 74. I
names.
can't do much reading in the daytime, let alone at night.
It's on the other way. Sergeant. 1828. 1828. What was that?
The stone has actually been broken.
Oh.
I think they know who's there, and they're trying to replace. Oh, you can read on it, though. You can read parts of it. 1925, I think that's what it says. 28.
Beautiful stone. Gonna cut off the secondary light.
There's a lot of work that people have done over the years.
As we said earlier, this is a community-run cemetery.
This is a family that's been here quite a while. I don't know anything about them, but it's the Stevens family, and they have been here a long time. Okay. I don't want to. My light too hot, is it? And this is one that Otis put in because he knew he was buried here. Just it didn't have stones. He tried
Florence
to identify
Thomas.
a lot of the people. I can't read them.
This is Door. D-O-R-E.
Oh, there it is, yeah. No, I don't know that one.
1916.
There's another Woodsman of the World stone. This is a little cleaner than the other one. And this one is Abbott.
M.T. Abbott.
In 1906. Came in 1862. He was born in 1862.
1864 to 1949. That's wow. That's almost 80 years. No, my math's off.
And so, want to walk across. Is it here or here? And then here's another one of Calhoun. This is another and Otis has tried to identify people that are buried here. I'm not sure if the dates on all of them.
1904, 1864, 1893 to 1894.
Yeah.
Oh,
They didn't have any stones. Whether they never did or whether they were broken, I don't know. Oh, look who that tall stone is, would you? Yeah. I think it's this row that I want to be on, but I'm not sure. There's more Calhoun. Calhoun is a huge family. That's part of Myrna. When you were here, she said she's related to 50 people. These are part of them. The Calhouns she's related to.
Calhoun.
On the right. Yep, that's what I was. Okay, I was over there. Towns are
might actually have to call this an early night because my IR camera just burnt out.
Huh.
I mean, my IR light.
And this is Stancliffe, the Bert Stancliffe we saw over there. That's his parents
Oh.
that are buried here.
They separated them so far apart just because of
That's
space.
kind of interesting that they're so far apart. There's one other one. I think it's on this road. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's on the road down there. Okay. This is. No, that doesn't go there. Who's it? The artist. Was another quite a famous person. He wasn't famous, but his day he was. He helped. He came from back east, and he helped. Not in the mining, but he helped run pack train to feed the miners, because the miners had to have food. So
Yeah.
he did that because he wasn't very good at mining. And he came up here and ended up doing the same thing up here because mining was so popular. He ended up being in Jacksonville. He was a justice of the peace in Jacksonville, and he moved here. He married one of Hiram Culver's daughters. I don't see her name, but Susan, Sandra, something. Married one of his daughters, and he had a grist mill down here on the highway.
A grist mill?
For a long time. We have a picture of it at the museum.
Oh, it's going to be interesting. We'll add that later on to our footage.
And I want him to do this. I think they're in the same group. What you good at doing? I know. This is Marion. This is Marion Town, and that's her parents and grandparents. But this is Marion Town. Marion was born in Jacksonville. Her parents were miners, and they came out from back east. Had 3 daughters, and a boy. And they lived in Jacksonville. She was born in a mining camp in Jacksonville in 1880. Then they moved. He must have struck it rich because he had enough money to move to Phoenix and build a store, a mercantile store, as well as a house.
Oh, wow.
And she worked as a clerk for I've lost the name. Coleman. John Coleman was a lawyer in town. She worked as a clerk for him for a while. Then she went in 1912. The women won the right to vote in Oregon.
Yep.
So in 1914, she decided that she was going to run for legislature. She was the first woman legislator in Oregon
Oh, wow.
because she won her position, and that's her claim to fame was that. And she also, during World War I, she joined the Navy. They didn't have women in the Navy, but
no.
during World War I, they took them because, you know,
They
had to
needed
have somebody.
they needed everyone they could.
That's right. So, after the war was over, though, they kicked her out. But that was Marion. We have more there about her, too.
Someone
But
was
her
buried
parents-
there as well.
Oh, and the house that her parents built and she lived in is still standing. It's also on 2nd Street, on the corner of Church and 2nd. And there's a bunch more.
Huh? I think tonight we're going to have to call it an early night because I'm
Okay.
having problems with my equipment.
Okay.
But I did get a lot filmed,
Okay.
and
We've got that one there.
oh, let's go over here and get that done.
I think my flashlight's dying.
Is there a spirit here trying to absorb energy from us?
Is what?
This is a common occurrence with spirits. When they're trying to manifest themselves, they will absorb energy from all
My flashlight came back, but it didn't want to.
I didn't want to. Yeah, I'm losing.
This is Sam and Amelia Fern. Sam and Amelia Furry.
Hurry.
They came out from back east in 1860. And on the wagon train, she had a baby on the wagon train.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was also a midwife. She had a ton of kids, family members. And they're buried here, plus a whole bunch of their family. So they were quite a well-known family here in Phoenix for many years, like they still are. The family that nobody in the family lives here right now, but they're still around.
Oh.
And we have more information in the museum. That's Sam and Amelia.
Did they end up getting a street name after them as well?
There's no street named after furries.
Would be a cool street name.
Yeah, it would be. They should have named the street.
Furry Street.
Yeah, but one of their houses still stands. It's on 4th, I think, corner of 4th and Church or 5th and Church. One of their great granddaughter. It used to be a docent at the museum until COVID. Lives in an assisted living place, so she's locked down.
Yeah,
so she hasn't been back.
I've heard my mother-in-law is in a place right now.
Yeah.
What other cemeteries are you interested in or in the area? She said that you've not lived here, just moved up here, basically.
Oh yeah, no, I'm thinking about the Jacksonville. I went through everywhere.
I was thinking.
I can tell you who to talk to.
I was thinking Logtown.
Oh, Logtown would be another one.
Oh yeah, that'd be a fun one.
Logtown Cemetery would be really good. It's, I think, a private one as well, so you'd have to talk to the person that is in charge of it.
No?
And I don't know their name, but I do know who you could talk to, except for the fact that I don't know how to spell his name. I can tell you his name is Sadecki. Sadecki.
For the Jacksonville.
Yeah, Jacksonville. He
I
belongs to the Friends. If you look on the internet, he belongs to the Friends of the Jacksonville Cemetery.
actually, because I spoken to the Jacksonville Cemetery. I was trying to get a job with them, and I spoken to someone over there. So I don't know who I did. I did speak to a guy, and the name he just said sounded kind of really familiar.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, me with names. Looks like we're going.
That we're at the end of the road.
Well, this is it for the night.
Okay. All right.
We will.
Do it again.
Oh, we definitely will. There's more opportunities. We'll come back out. We'll film again. I love to hear the stories. We'll go over the footage that we took tonight, and we'll double check it, see how it turned out.
All right.
Yeah, so it's probably gonna be great footage. I'll cut away all the unnecessary bits we don't need, and then we'll chuck it all together and see what comes up.
Did you buy someone to get you, or you?
I'm just gonna walk back. I'm only on 4th Street.
Oh, okay. That's not very far.
No.
I live on Rose, which is
It's right there and over there.
down a ways. I live on South Road.